I will tell you that there are a lot of exciting things happening all across North Columbia right now, guys. And it's because of each and every one of you. As we go around the room, we have businesses big and small. We have investors and developers. You have nonprofits. You have the faith community. We have the education community. We have neighborhood leaders. We have economic developers. We have just pure association leaders. Some people who've been here very short periods of time, and some who've been here for decades. But everyone working on building this collective, what I often like to refer to as the most talented, educated, and entrepreneurial city in America. We have all of those component parts. I want you to not just take stock of who's sitting around you, but also kind of take stock of as to where you are. How do you love this facility, this building? High quality investment, public sector investment right here in North Columbia. A lot of people, a lot of you in this room came together to make this happen. I think none more than our Senior Assistant City Manager, Allison Baker, cast a broad vision for what type of space this could be. And just take a moment, if you haven't yet, just look around you, look outside. I mean, this beautiful sylvan environment in Earlwood Park, a park that's been here longer than most of us have been alive. And start thinking about the issues of connectivity. Smith's Branch that runs right along, right to the east of us. And being able to, someday in the not too distant future, to walk along Smith's Branch all the way up to the Congaree River, to get to the diversion dam and be able to walk along the Three Rivers Greenway and cross over a footbridge to Boyd Island, a 4-acre island that the city owns, and then cross that footbridge over to Riverbank Zoo, the #1 tourist attraction in the entire state, which drives people in Charleston and Myrtle Beach crazy when I say that, but the #1 tourist attraction in the entire state, and then walk across recently acquired and committed acreage, connecting us all the way up to the Saluda River, eventually being able to walk all the way to Saluda Shoals Park and to Lake Murray from downtown Columbia, taking Smith's Branch and being able to connect this park to the growing Vista Greenway. It's terminated now at Elmwood Avenue. If you haven't walked the Greenway that we started just a few years ago, turning rails to trails, starting at the Blue Marlin on Lady Street, just opened up an exciting leg through Finley Park. It will eventually come on through Elmwood Park, all the way through Earlwood Park to this park, and then up into Bull Street. We're trying our best to work together with the community, developing a collective vision that helps us leverage public sector investment to attract the right type of private sector capital investment that we want. Not that wants to just come here, but that we want. And I will tell you that no other area in the city, and some people may take exception to that, but it's the reality, has as much interest and excitement going on right now as we do right here on this North Main corridor. And I say that as someone who listens to businesses and folks who want to develop businesses and people who bring significant capital to the table and people who just bring some incredible ideas and need your capital. No place has more excitement right now to the tunes of well over $100 million than North Columbia right now. The question is, how do we continue seeding that environment, and how do we make sure we're all working together to make that vision a reality? I mean, some of the numbers are clear, and many of you are familiar with them. Some of you may not be familiar with them. The North Main Street improvements, of course, previous investments of $20 million, another $30 million. And if you take the money from the Richland County Transportation Committee and the $10 million in Tiger Grant dollars, continuing to make sure that this wonderful corridor reflects the vibrancy of the neighborhoods that border it, the excitement in Cottontown and Earlwood Park and Elmwood Park and Hyatt Park, all the way up to Greenview in I-20, $30 million. If you haven't had, I know that Chris and I spend too much time in Greenview Park because we have Greenview Dolphins in our home. Has anyone here not yet been, if you don't have a reason to, don't feel bad about not raising your hand, have you not yet been to Greenview Park to see the $3.2 million water park that's there now? You take the investments in public infrastructure, Greenview Park, what's happening here, We've got well over $500,000 and another $1.3 million coming to Hyatt Park, or else Mr. Davis is going to strangle all of us. But strategic public sector investments are partnered with the great things that are happening, great investment happening in our public schools. And you take that, you combine that with a fantastic and affordable quality housing stock. That some that's affordable, some that's market rate, but all up and down this corridor, and you come up with a really good combination of being a place where people want to live, they want to work, they want to play, they want to prosper and grow their families. Those are the building blocks of having, I believe, what makes North Columbia a very special place to be. I'm always, I got Mr. Baker kind of looking over my shoulder. I'm always wondering what I can say and can't say about what's coming this way in terms of moves that we're making. I can get and say we're acquiring the property on the street, right? That's public now? Okay. Yeah, it is too late, right? But obviously we're making some significant investments in water sewer infrastructure all across the city and across the region. Of course, the remaining phases of Earlwood Park and the Book of Washington Heights are $5 million in water quality. We have infrastructure that was put in 40, 50 years ago that still puts out quality water, but it's the pipes are rusting, so it's brown water. Both of those are moving forward very aggressively. I guess we get first reading at our last meeting to look at rebuilding that infrastructure. Storm drainage projects, significant investment, current and pending projects out here in North Columbia. We're negotiating with DOT, the property I was referencing earlier, the large area just south of us, this large field that we've historically had the Cornbread Festival in until this past year. We're acquiring, is it 14 acres, Allison? Yeah, 14 acres that we're acquiring, both that property and also the roadways. We're in the final stages of acquisition of that property, which of course will also help facilitate in a very rapid way the development of the greenway and the walking paths and pedestrian paths from north to south. Wanting to see and encourage to see the additional partnerships between the Columbia Empowerment Zone East and the Eau Claire Development Corporation, the Columbia Housing Development Corporation, and also recognizing that the various different component units of the development corporations we have around the city that historically have been somewhat balkanized, just reserved to the areas of the city that they worked in, realizing that if we're talking about the flow of capital, it doesn't recognize those borders, and nor should we. We want to make sure that we're using every bit of leverage we can to try and see the types of development that we see with Studio 2LR and the Warmouth and continuing to support existing businesses as well. Mr. Dodd, I'm not sure how long you've been on that corridor, but it's been quite a while. If you go down, you look at the wonderful list of commercial revolving loan fund awardees and the grant awardees and the various programs we've had, the facade grant program just a couple years ago helped facilitate $1 million in both public and private investment grant program using community development block grant dollars and also some general fund dollars to try and help businesses that are vibrant but just need to look a little bit more vibrant, help them get up to snuff. We have a number of examples up and down the corridor. So some really good things happening. The question is, what can we continue to do together to make sure that that we're being as thoughtful, as visionary, and as strategic as possible to continue to see this growth go in the way in which we want to see it happen. So I'm not going to talk too much longer. I am, when I said I was going to try to get us back on schedule, I really am going to try to get us back on schedule. But I do want to hear thoughts and ideas from each of you, and I will chime in as we go on. But I want you, and I know that for some of us it's very tough. Some of us who've been laboring in the vineyards for many years, I will tell you, I've spent a majority, if not a preponderance, of my adult life in 29203. I still own a home here. I birthed both of my daughters here. I spent my law school years here, and bought my first and second home north of Elmwood Avenue. This place was a very special place in my heart. But some folks have been working here hard for decades upon decades. and they are ready to see some incredibly exciting things happening here. Some folks are here and newer here, but also downright excited about what's happening here. Some of you have made some strategic investments and it's paid off pretty quickly. Some of our investments, especially those that were made from the public sector, the quasi-public sector, may not always be determined in traditional ROI, but there are incredible opportunities. How do we really work to leverage all these wonderful educational institutions, which I will tell you are driving economic development all around the country? If you have a Lenore Ryan and a Columbia College and a CIU in your footprint, you're not leveraging them as much as you possibly can to do some incredible things. We're missing some huge opportunities. So I would encourage all of you, and I'm trying to think of the most diplomatic way I can say this. Sometimes I fail at being a diplomat. So our biggest challenge is that sometimes we talk down our own neighborhoods. Yes. And I will tell you, this neighborhood is as special or more special than any I've ever come across. And I use the word neighborhood very loosely because we're talking about a significant area, whether you call ourselves NCBA or Greater Eau Claire or Noma or Upper Main, whatever it happens to be, we're all in this together. We're all in this together. It doesn't stop at the trestle, start the trestle, or for that matter, stop at North Main. It doesn't stop at I-20 to the west. We're all in this together, and we can do some incredibly special things together. 4,300 acres of opportunity. That's what we have here. And a growing and new and newer infrastructure, incredible built infrastructure, but also natural infrastructure. And I dare say I'd take the human infrastructure here and put it up against anything in the world. And I hadn't mentioned, of course, Pamela Health and the incredible things that they're doing to increase and expand their footprint as well that we're excited about. So I'd love to hear some ideas from you guys. This is a kind of a impromptu focus group. I know some of you have ideas, some of you have desires. Some of you obviously are in the finance field. I think Sabrina's trying to catch my eye. Are you trying to get my eye right now?
Because I have an idea.
Okay. Okay, you want to start it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have many ideas, but I'm just...
And also, I mean, I think in terms of entrepreneurs, some of you who are new entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs, some of you who may be in housing and housing development, some of you who are bankers, you know, what are those extra missing pieces? I would say one thing, all these things I have on my list combined with the things that Felicia, they've done through their nonprofit, Judge McDuffie and things at Cecil, all the things that have gone on, they need to be in one place so people can get ideas of the exciting things that are happening here, but also the tools that are available to continue to promote this development. I think that's one thing that we need to certainly do. We tend to be visual people and we like to see things. Sabrina, go ahead.
Okay, right here by the trestle is a hill and the cars go pretty fast. I would love to see a traffic light there between in-house realtor and quarter shop, and it's some investments going across the street I can't talk about, but it would be nice if we can get a traffic light to slow the traffic down so people could cross the street safely to other businesses. Okay.
Duly noted. Now, I am not an engineer, and the closest I got to science is political science. So I won't talk about putting the traffic light there, but we will check on it for you, okay? How about that? All right. Veronica?
Mayor, you just said that we are visual people, and I wonder if it's time, you know, obviously, the trestle has been said 100 times probably in this room. Isn't it time to maybe refurbish it, put some new lighting on it? The trestle itself could be a real nice attraction. Does the city have a relationship with the railroad? Maybe we could get for a partnership to really do something with the trestle itself.
Sure. No, I think that's a wonderful idea, and we've floated the idea both past Norfolk Southern and CSX to look at all of the railroad trestles that serve gateways into the city, to look at them for beautification purposes. And we're talking about everything from also, not just beautification, but also passenger rail from Columbia to Charlotte, a number of other issues. I would say they've been much more agreeable to work with. We're also talking about quiet zones for some of you who might get awakened in the middle of the night by loud trains, but that's another story. So that's one, I think, very important piece of the puzzle. We have been working, if you don't mind, Cecil's been working through the Eau Claire Development Corporation with our public works staff just on beautification of various gateways into the city. His focus, of course, being North Columbia, North Main Street, Fairfield Road, Monticello Road.
Yes.
What am I forgetting?
277 Farrow.
277 Farrow Road. So significant beautification of all those gateways in ways I think would make everybody here very, very proud.
Yeah.
You might be taking up railroad trestles too. Okay? But yeah, that's about
Railroad trestles.
well.
The railroad trestles, when they did the corridor improvement plan, there were two structures identified as eligible for the National Historic. One was Fire Station 7, which we successfully got on record. The other is the train trestle. So it has been pre-qualified already.
Okay.
And the thought is also with the trestle that also would serve as a gateway to the Greenway. The additional Greenway would run behind the AVAT property and eventually on into the Bull Street property. But it is a significant
Yes,
opportunity to make the area more attractive. You guys are much more aggressive in these types of questions. Come on. Chrissy. Ms. Savage.
Our community would like to see a more concentrated effort in the area with the development of jobs and job training. We had a session about careers in drone technology on Saturday, and we talked about the skilled trades, and I'd like to see us focus and implement those kinds of programs because not all of our children go to college, and yet there are many kinds of jobs that people in our community can train to do well and can retain those persons in our neighborhoods and have them actually go on.
Sure. No. Absolutely. That's very important. Obviously, you can build physical buildings, you can go vertical, and you can do infrastructure. What you do to build people and teach a man to fish is so important. Many of you may have been associated with our Work It Up program and some of our other efforts as we built the baseball stadium and the facility we're currently building on Beltline Boulevard right now. The Work It Up program was designed looking at specific areas that employers have said they needed employees here in Columbia. We took a $300,000 grant and used it to do some old school grassroots door knocking, 29203 and 29204, seeking employees and prospective students for various certificate granting programs at Midlands Technical College. We communicated to the prospective employers that we weren't going to be bringing perfect applicants, that many of them will have had a pass that might be a bit checkered, but if we took them through our courses on soft skills and hard skills, if they successfully completed the certificate granting program, they would have a job. And it has been an incredible learning opportunity, learning about, obviously, the incredible intestinal fortitude of folks who want to get their lives back on track. It's also been an incredible learning opportunity to learn more and more about the challenges of drug abuse and drug addiction and the difficulty some people have in shaping some of those habits. We initiated another program in building the stadium in which we brought in 43 individuals some who lived at transitions and others who lived in the housing authority, and they were trained to do everything from old school masonry work, which seems to be a lost art now, hanging sheetrock and various other parts of the construction trades, and participated in building the venue that we have on Bull Street right now. We also are using that as we build the $14 million facility on Beltline Boulevard right now, which will be a $14 million silver LEED certified building, 300 person, our community room. But again, it goes to the focus and the importance to probably scale up the opportunities to give people an opportunity to take care of themselves and feed their families and build some type of generational wealth and opportunity. We know the challenge is real.
Can I add something to that?
Please.
We also, with the Oakland Development Corporation, in partnership with Richland One, the Hayward Career Center, and the Airport Commission, what we're looking at doing is being proactive. I think it's important to make sure people have and provide them with jobs once they leave college or have been out of school or been in the workforce for quite a while. What we're thinking about, what we're doing is also looking back to the middle school levels and focusing on particular industries that are important to the state right now. Particularly aviation is a big conversation. We're an aviation state now. So what we decided to do, along with some partnerships with the Oakland Development Corporation, we are starting at Hayward Career Center. This conversation is taking place to start an airframe power plant program and start with the kids learning about aviation, because that's where we're going. We've been a tire state at this point. Of course, Boeing is here now. We've got Turok in Greenville. So there are other industries that are coming. So what we're doing back to job creation, labor force, which is very important to me as an economic developer and this community, we want to reach back at the middle school level and train those students so that when they get out, they may not want to go to college. But at least that'll give them an opportunity to participate in an industry and learn something new, and particularly come out, get a job, and stay in North Columbia. How about that?
Mm-hmm. We have a, and I'm going to try again to get us back on schedule, close to that. We interface as a city with almost each and every one of you individually. I would love to see as many of you connect independent of us and come to us with maybe ideas that we can help make a reality with some type of city assistance, whether that's through some type of capital investment or some type of loan through our various programs. So I really want to try and make sure we encourage that type of activity. And I'm not going to keep talking about the Greenview pool. But I will tell you, if you haven't had a chance yet to go out to see the Greenview pool,
yes,
it's a really good example, I believe, of the types of public investment that you can make that begins to plant a seed in people's minds as to what's possible. Because when you see that type of investment and then you see the type of education that's happening in various schools across Richland School District 1, the record amount of Gates Millennium Scholars, and incredible things that are happening, it begins to plant a seed in people's minds about maybe I should buy this home. Maybe this investment does make sense. Yes, I'm just a few miles from downtown. I'm right there on the corridor between the Northeast and the Northwest. It's a wonderful example of what happens when everyone comes together and invests in an idea. And it does have, I believe, even with cold weather like this, still has the wow factor. There won't be the tens of thousands, literally tens of thousands of individuals we had there this summer. Is that a fair number to say, Allison? We blew the numbers out of the water. People are excited about that type of investment and continuing to understand that as we make those investments moving forward, they're going to be done in a very thoughtful and ordered way in partnership with the county, in partnership with the school district, so that we're coalescing our public resources in a way that tries to, again, create an environment for strong, solid private sector investment. I would encourage you to look at the county library, to look at the wonderful soccer facility that United FC is building off of I-20. There are a lot of really awesome things happening. And I'll say this, and I'll wrap it up, Mr. Chairman. You have a question or a statement?
Question.
Okay, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. And I'll wrap it up.
You sure that's okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. I do want to, when we go back and we look at, in my offices, I've been out there since 2004. My history was I did my student teaching at Eau Claire High School. So when I moved my law firm from Henderson Street to North Main Street, it was because I wanted to come home. Stone manufacturing. Mm-hmm. We all know that that's the elephant in the room. stone manufacturing building. I would like to see, and we've got, I listen to all of these bankers in here, and Dennis, you really gonna start bringing some people to meetings, man. But the stone manufacturing building, a magnificent structure that should have in it a mall concept, where a bank or banks are in there, shopping facilities are in there. We've got to do something, and I say this to the community and to the city officials, our deputy city manager, and all of the people involved with investment, Judge McDuffie. Stone manufacturing is the elephant in the room. That should be a priority for our future development. And I just want you to just keep that thought, not a whole lot of dialogue, but city officials, please look at trying to see how we can get, and maybe corroboration, private investment, city investment, but let's turn stone manufacturing into a Taj Mahal for this area.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you, Don. And for everyone who's clapping, please know the building is for sale. Okay? So we'll make something happen there. We can make it happen tomorrow. I've walked that building, and Sam has, and we've looked at countless number of opportunities, and we haven't found one to click yet. But for those of you who may not be as familiar with the property, it's actually just north of here. So if you left the park and make a left, you cross over Sunset, and it's the second building on your right-hand side. Large, 63,000 square feet building with 3 different sections that are all very different and distinct sections. It's seen better days. It does not qualify for tax credits, but it's a unique opportunity. So I would encourage you, ma'am.
I just want Robin to talk about the new building that's going across the street from the Luncheon University. Whenever Group's finished, I'm sorry.
So, Lutheran Theological Southern Seminary has been at that property for over 100 years as a seminary, and they partnered with Luncheon University in Hickory, North Carolina in 2012. And so Luncheon University is more of an undergraduate, and we are a graduate program. They've been looking to how they can bring more programs to our campus here in South Carolina. And so they're bringing an occupational therapy program to train students to become occupational therapists, which is a really growing field. And so we're building a 24,000 square foot facility that will be classroom and office space for our new program to start next May. So that will be an occupational therapy graduate program as an addition to our seminary and other graduate programs on our campus. So we're really excited about that. And it's at the corner of Kinderway and North Main. We tore down some existing vacant buildings and some freestanding homes to build that building there. So it's going to be a gorgeous new addition to that. Do you guys want to add anything?
One final comment? Question? All right.
One question, and real quick. The Sunset Building, the old Sam Building, do we have a plan for it?
Sure, it's under contract, some pretty exciting plans ahead for it. Ma'am? No, ma'am.
And the only reason why I asked is that building has been there for a long time. We've got other properties around. And I'm constantly hearing how we lose a great deal of revenue with our sports complexes. So far as basketball, volleyball, and things of this nature that go to Charlotte, Florida, we lose millions because we don't have a complex in which we can bring in all these multiple teams and families from all around the country to participate in these tournaments. Charlotte gets millions of dollars just from Columbia. If we could develop some, we're talking about a shell of a building and putting the basketball buildings in.
Sure. I'll tell you, and most of this is water under the bridge, but just maybe to serve illustrative purposes. We spent a great deal of time on that building. Actually toured the building with a handful of NBA greats with this very specific purpose of turning it into a recreational space consistent with some of the wishes and needs of leaders out in the North Columbia community. And had some pretty detailed plans pulled together. The plan was to submit it as one of the proposals for the NBA's development league team, the Charlotte Hornets were pitching. The building was snatched up for other purposes, purposes that I believe will prove out to be significant and very important for the future development of North Columbia, much greater than even what we planned for it. The parcel that sits just to the east of the Old Sam's wholesale property here on Sunset, so those of you who are not from Columbia, is where Felicia has contracted for the CEZ to build a hotel. So it would be adjacent to that, connected stone's throw from the hospital, and stone's throw for that matter, from stone manufacturing. So it does make stone manufacturing that much more an attractive proposition. I'm trying my best to talk and not speak out of school, y'all. So, Landis, you had the last question?
Yes. A few moments ago, you stated that there were some type of ideas come together to be reference to those ideas. Are there anything in particular that the city is looking for in reference to some business ideas for this corridor specific that possibly some of us can actually handle that particular gap?
Yes, I mean, probably all the above. I mean, I think we're really talking about, Eau Claire was once a city within the city. It was a city in and of itself, and I think that very same DNA exists out here. We have needs for commercial, for residential, both market rate and affordable. We have needs for single family detached homes and also multifamily, more restaurants, opportunities, I believe, again, to be very thoughtful in how we create this space where people can live up to the God-given potential, teaching people, training people along the lines of what Ms. Savage had to say. And I think probably the last thought I want to leave you with before I give Mr. Davis the microphone is that development is coming to North Columbia. It's coming, and it's probably coming in spades. I mean, so I think that's important for all of us to recognize. Now, the challenge is that as we look back, and we will look back someday, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, the question will be, is it the type of development that we want to come to North Columbia? And is it the type of development and was it achieved in a way that makes us proud of what we have here? There will be conversations, as there are in every other great city around the country, about gentrification, and that's always a very difficult discussion because we'll often have people who are very well-meaning who will advance ideas that actually seek to depress property values because you don't want to have the effect of uprooting people who are in their existing homes, and you take that and you compare that to the reality that most of our net worth is actually in our property. So you don't want to depress property values in a way that limits someone's ability to maybe alienate or sell that property and do well as a way of it. But you do want to have a city for all people. You want to make sure that we are representative of the American dream for everyone. So just thinking of very thoughtful, methodical ways, and many of you travel the country, if not the world, and you've seen some pretty cool ideas about ways in which we can achieve a city that is representative of all the good things we want it to be. So I would encourage you to bring those ideas to us. I would encourage you, if you haven't thought about it, to serve on some of our boards and commissions, our land use boards, our planning commission, our board of zoning appeals, our DDRC, all the other various boards that these folks represent, while the executive directors of those organizations work for the City of Columbia. Each of their boards are independent boards, self-perpetuating boards that elect their own members. I encourage you to look at those and find ways in which you can be involved, serve on the Commercial Revolving Loan Fund Board, and see if you can help plant the very next war mount in North Columbia. There are so many different ways to get involved, and none of those ways are in direct or irreconcilable conflict with what you do during the day. There are always ways in which you can get around those conflicts that help meet the needs of the common good. So thank y'all. Thank you for participating, and appreciate everyone being here today.